So basically, CERT's role: extinguish small fires, prevent additional fires by removing the fuel sources.
Yeah, thank you.
The other roles is shutting off the utilities and assisting with evacuations, but we're really not going to get into that for this portion of the class. Again, our priorities: help emergencies before professional responders arrive. Neighbor helping neighbor. That's what we've been talking about since the beginning of this. That's what you guys have learned from the first CERT class that you took. Your safety is number one. If you are dead or you are hurt, you are no use to your team. In fact, you're a liability to your team, and you are no use to the people that you're trying to help. So we need to make sure that you are safe. Work with a buddy. CERTs never work alone. They always work with a buddy. And always wear safety equipment, which is why I said earlier, did everybody have their CERT gear in their backpacks? Which everybody said yes. Because if you didn't, you would just stand on the sidelines and watch. And then maybe we'd make fun of you in a PowerPoint later on. Like my AmeriCorps kids. Again, CERT goal: greatest good for the greatest number of people. That goes back to our triage. That's why we don't do CPR during a disaster situation. If 2 people are tied up doing CPR, the person that's bleeding out, 3 people down from them, is not going to have their bleeding controlled, and they're going to die. So that's one of the things we need to keep in mind. Yes?
Question. You said you work with a buddy. Say, you know, it hit a hurricane, whatever, hit my neighborhood, and I don't have anybody in my immediate neighborhood that's a CERT member or stuff. Would the criteria of always working with a buddy was like grab a neighbor that I know
Sure.
and have him, and that would be even though he's not certified?
Even though they're not CERT trained, and we don't want to use the term certification because you don't have a certification. You have a certificate of training.
Right.
A little bit different. But yeah, you can grab somebody in your neighborhood and say, hey, I need you to come with me while we do A, B, and C. Because if you wind up getting hurt, there's nobody else that can go ahead and either help you or get somebody to come and help you. Okay? So the fire triangle: fuel, oxygen, heat, and then we have a chemical reaction which causes fire. You remove any one of the sides, that extinguishes the fire. If you take away the fuel, there's nothing to burn. If you take away the oxygen, fire can't breathe. If you take away the heat, you don't have the basis for the fire as well. And again, that takes care of the chemical reaction. So that's our goal when we're doing fire suppression. There's 5 classes: ordinary combustibles, which is most of what's in this room: the tables, the chairs, the paper, the carpet. Flammable and combustible liquids. Hopefully there are no flammable liquids or combustible liquids in this room. But that's gasoline, oil, kerosene, alcohol, anything that is combustible or flammable that's in a liquid format. And then energized electrical equipment. So if our fire trainer caught on fire, which would be interesting in and of itself,
Yeah.
Yes.
that's an electrical fire. Combustible metals: titanium, aluminum, any type of magnesium, any type of metal that would burn. And there's a special fire extinguisher that you would use to put that out with. It's not your typical ABC fire extinguisher, which is what that fire extinguisher on the table represents. And then cooking oils. They call that a K-fire, but that's your vegetable oil, olive oil, anything that you would cook with. We're going to kind of blow through the electrical hazards because we really want to get into more of the hands-on on what it is that we're doing. But again, for electrical fires, once you shut off the power, generally the fire will stop. If not, then you just have a combustible material fire. Because if that catches on fire due to an electrical fire, due to electricity, and we take away the electricity, now the electrical parts aren't burning, but the housing may burn, some of the plastic in there, whatever else that's made of is going to burn, and then you can use a regular ABC fire extinguisher on it. Okay, your CERT size up. This is across any type of incident. Whether you're doing a search and rescue, whether you're doing medical operations, whether you're doing fire suppression. It's all the same thing, and it's a continual process. It's cyclical in nature. We gather our facts, assess the damage, consider probabilities, assess the situation that you're in, establish your priorities, make your decisions, develop the plan of action, take action, and evaluate progress. So, one of the things that we want to do is, are we able to put this fire out? Okay? Should we attempt to suppress the fire? How do we know if a fire is too big for us to handle?
It's bigger than what a fire extinguisher can put out, it probably is. Yeah.
Well, but how would you know how big that is?
Small wastebasket size fire?
Small wastebasket size fire is a good rule of thumb. The other thing that I like to tell people is if you walk up to a fire and you see the fire and the little voice in your head says, I don't know if I should be putting this fire out, then maybe you shouldn't be putting this fire out. So, listen to those little voices in your head this time. So, you want to have your plan of action. Do we have the right equipment? Are there any other hazards? Are there electrical hazards? Are there debris hazards, falling hazards? Is the building structurally damaged? And we'll get into that when we start talking about search and rescue a little bit. Can we get out? Is the fire going to be between myself and the exit? Could it expand to cut off my exit? If the answer is yes, no, you're not going to want to put that fire out. Can we fight the fire safely? And again, safety of the individual CERT members is top priority. Your safety is priority above all else. There are different types of firefighting resources. We're really going to deal with just the portable fire extinguishers. Wet standpipes, that's for fire rescue. They come in, they hook right into basically the pipes that you might see in the stairwells, so they don't have to stretch hose up 30 flights of stairs. The standpipe is already charged. They go ahead and they hook up to it, and they only need to take maybe 100 feet of hose with them. Confinement. Confinement could be, there's a fire in this room, we shut the door. And then any other type of creative resources. Putting a lid on a cooking oil fire. Remember, you've seen the old fire blankets to smother the fire, things like that. Your fire extinguishers, there are four types. Water, dry chemical, carbon dioxide, and specialized. Your specialized fire extinguishers are really what you'd be using on metal fires, which generally, unless you're in an industrial setting, you're not going to run into metal fires. The fire extinguisher will show you what it is rated for. It'll say Class A, it may be 1A or 40A. Class B, 1B to 640B. The higher the number on the label, the greater the amount of extinguishing agent. Okay, this fire extinguisher here is a simulation of an ABC fire extinguisher. This is a 5-pound fire extinguisher. This is the size and weight of most of the fire extinguishers that you'll run into. And right on the underwriter's laboratory label, it says right there your classification. For a Class A fire, it's rated as a 1. For a Class BC fire, it's rated as a 10. The way that we fight fire, we use the acronym PASS. I would hide it and have you guys tell me what it was, but you can read it. What does the P stand for? Pull. What are we pulling?
Pin.
The pin. How long do we have to throw it before it explodes? I'm sorry, that was the wrong class. That was my tactical class. I'm sorry. Pull. Aim. What's the S?
Squeeze.
And the other S?
Sweep.
Sweep. Absolutely. The one thing that is not there is
against the wind.
otherwise it would be PTAS, and that for test, which would work out well. So, you're going to pull the pin. So, pretend there's a pin here. Pin's in the box. Pull the pin. Then we want to go ahead and give it a quick squeeze to make sure that it's charged. put only a small amount of agent out. So it's been tested. We want to go up to the fire and aim, squeeze, and sweep from side to side at the base of the fire. And once that fire trainer is set up, we'll show you exactly where to do it. Those are the wet standpipes that I talked about. Again, safety of the individuals is top priority. Everybody is wearing their safety gear but what's wrong with that picture?
No goggles.
No goggles. And does a helmet on top of a hood?
Nope.
No. I know she's cold, but would you rather be cold or dead? Because if either way, you're going to wind up cold. So, this is what not to do. You want to have the helmet squarely on your head, ratchet it down nice and tight and snug so it doesn't come off. We don't want to get too close because you don't want to get burned. You don't want to fight a fire alone. Why is that?
Because something is falling down.
That's right, in case something happens. And again, like I said, a bunch of slides behind, buddy system, exactly. Don't try to suppress large fires. I kind of gave you a little rule of thumb on that. And don't enter smoke-filled areas. Why not? Yeah, you can't breathe. Those little dust masks, do they help? No. Because they may filter out the dust and soot, but what does fire use? Oxygen. So as a fire burns, what does it deplete in the room? Oxygen, exactly. Plus it doesn't protect you from the heat that you might be breathing in. And I was a firefighter for a lot of years, and part of our initial training was we're going to sit you in a room and we're going to start turning up the heat without any air pack. We had our air pack but not wearing it. So we kind of got an idea of how some of it might felt. And then we got down on the floor, which is where the oxygen and the cool air is. Heat rises. But at some point, everything comes down from the ceiling to the floor. So you want to keep some of those in mind. So we don't enter any smoke-filled areas. We're not really going to get into hazardous materials. So what we're going to do next is, hopefully it's charged, and then we'll kind of show you how it all works, and then we're going to go up in teams of 2, and you guys are going to put some fake fire out. I wanted to drag a propane generator in here, but for real fire, but Troy wouldn't know.